What up? What up? Another episode of FitBod Blueprint. Tyler, how are we doing?
Doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Pretty good. It actually, we had snow on Monday.
Wow,
Like,
that's
nothing
early.
that stuck, but
Yeah,
it was still the cool moment of like, look out the window while I'm working and I'm like, huh, those are snow flurries.
yeah, it is kind of nice, right? Like it's peaceful in a sense. You never lose, I think, that inner kid, right? Of like, oh, snow, like, oh my goodness. But now as an adult, it doesn't mean days off from work.
Right. Especially whenever you work remote, it's like, yeah, as long as there's internet, I'm still working, baby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I know what you feel. We don't, yeah, we usually get like a couple big snowstorms here, every year. So, always fun to have that.
There's a guy I follow on TikTok that he does like all these weather predictions and just like explains patterns and like long-term forecasts, and he's claiming that it's supposed to be like a pretty harsh winter for this year. So I'm like, man, kids are going to be home for extra snow days. That's going to be terrible. Like,
Yeah, I know. I know. This is like, I mean, this is our first year, like with Quinn being in kindergarten, where you're actually having a true winter break. Like with daycare, it wasn't as long. Like, it's more of just the week of Christmas and not like 2 weeks. So yeah, we're getting to that and going, all right, what are we gonna do?
yeah, I remember that was the nice thing about the daycare that Ellie and Jesse went to in Florida was they did both like little kids and they also had after school care. So we would bring Ellie for that 1 week where like, okay, the daycare was closed too for 1 week for Christmas, but they would reopen the following week for a few days other than like I think New Year's Eve was like a half a day or something and New Year's Day was closed. But that was the great thing was because Ellie had gone there, they were like, "Oh yeah, no, just bring her in." So that was always nice. And then last year, uh, oh no, this will be the first year with both of them where like there is there is just 2 straight weeks. Like last year, it was like, well, Ellie's home for 2 weeks. Might as well just keep Jesse home. Be kind of
Yeah.
be kind of rude to be like, yeah, your sister's home, but get out.
Leave.
Scram.
I know. And it's that tough thing of, being a parent where it's like, well, I just don't want to rely on TV, right? Like but it's where's that kind of balance too of like, yeah, I'd love to play with you, but I can't play with you for 6 hours, like, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's that fine balance of that parenting.
Look, all I'm gonna say on that is like I was definitely so for me growing up, it was a lot of working because family business. So it was a lot of work. But if it was a day where like, hey, my dad had to do a lot of deliveries and like not really much of a need for a 7-year-old to be in the truck with them. I remember being just in front of the TV all day long. It was like
Yeah.
Super Nintendo and then turn into Prices Right and then
Yeah.
Mari and Judge Judy
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But like
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say is I think I turned out fine with that on the extreme end for those days. So I don't feel bad at all on the days where Ellie and Jesse are home from school or like it's a teacher work day and Nikki's not here. It's like, okay, look, I'm gonna block out like an hour. I'll play with you guys. I'm gonna block out an hour to get some work done, block out an hour to play with you guys. If they're playing with each other quietly and every other hour break, it's like, hey, here's a tablet, or hey, you can watch TV. I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah.
So, all right. Speaking of time off as the topic of today. So, Tyler, you are coming back from having to take a week off.
Yeah. Bit of a forced week off. Had my vasectomy. So no more
Yay.
kids in this household. We're complete with the four of us, not four kids. And it got me thinking of how people can be so scared to take time off from the gym, right? And where I think it's understandable because like I still as much as I think like I would advocate for planned times where you just take a full week off, whether it's forced or non-forced, in terms of like surgery, it can be maybe a little daunting or a little scary or like, am I going to fall behind? How much am I going to fall behind? And all of those thoughts that kind of emotions that go with it. But, what I find, and I just kind of got back into the gym yesterday, was, and this kind of happens every time, like how good I feel coming off like a week off, like, and how I'm feeling a little reinvigorated and motivation kind of, ramps back up a little bit. Maybe if there were little, aches and pains, like those have a little bit of a chance to heal stronger, right? Like I'm coming in and it's like I'm kind of going past weights I was doing before that week off. And, just in this scenario, I hadn't taken maybe a week off in quite some time. And I had just finished up a really hard training block, the previous kind of 12 weeks, started something a little bit new. And, I was kind of into that week 3. And those first couple of weeks, it was just wasn't motivated, had pretty low energy, and really just kind of relying on the discipline, right? Of just like, I gotta go. Like just I have to do this. And so it kind of worked out where, having this forced week off just paid huge dividends in at least the first couple of days of coming back and feeling really good. And I think we can also maybe talk about, the general adaptation syndrome too, and how maybe, having that time off, can be beneficial. But I think, it's important to go, hey, like, having that like week off, getting out of the gym for a little bit can actually just have so many positives as you kind of come back into it, because you're not really going to lose anything, like zero, especially if you're been someone that like, especially for you and I mean, we've been consistent over 15 plus years, right? Like, I would say within any given year, I'm probably never taking more than, 6 weeks off total, right? Like that's probably never above that. And you compound that over 15 years, like it's really not that much time. And so having those little breaks, it can be exactly what you might need to get a little bit of your mojo back. We just watched one of the Austin Power movies, so that's kind of, yeah, I know. It's been a while. I was like, oh man, these are funny. You
My
definitely can't,
mojo.
yeah, you can't make those today anymore, right?
God, no.
No, 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 that was like a special like time. But yeah, so yeah, I think get that a lot as coaches where someone's going on vacation or they're checking in, and some of that, feedback as you're reading it kind of maybe in between the lines of like, this person's sounding a little burnt out right now, right? And to suggest a week off can be, you'll get pushback quite a bit. Like I'm sure you've probably had some experience with that, not only yourself taking a week off, but with clients too.
Yeah. So I think the big thing is that people, especially somebody who's been training consistently for, let's say, at least 6 months, right? I think that people are quick to realize how much work it's taken to get to where they're at. Like, look, if you've been consistently lifting for a year and somebody's like, hey, take a week off, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. If I take a week off, am I going to go back to where I was 12 months ago? And it's like, well, no, you're not going to, but they know deep down how hard they had to work, the plateaus they had to push through. Over here yawning for some reason. I think I'm still getting used to this time change, but
Yeah.
people know how hard it is to be in the gym. People know how hard it can be to be in the gym consistently. Like even someone who's gym pop, that they're listening to this and maybe they're kind of, start, stop, start, stop. Like that should be resonating with you, especially of like, it is hard to consistently train, to consistently make time. I mean, I'm not saying it's right that it's hard, like it shouldn't be, but for a lot of people it is. So people get scared that taking a week off means you're going to lose everything. And what ends up happening, especially someone who maybe as coaches we're spotting like, look, you're giving me all the signs of you're burned out, you're a little overworked. We need to actually dial back. And it's like the slingshot analogy. Look, you got to pull back to be able to launch and go forward with a slingshot. That's the only way you get that rock to fly. So when we take a week off, especially if someone's feeling burnt out. What I find is the week off where it's forced of like you're not getting into the gym, you're taking time off, you're gonna focus on something else. Hey, try to go for a hike instead. Maybe, try to meet up with a friend. Maybe try to go on an extra date night this week. What happens is they get their cup filled, they get extra rest physically, and then they come back in and without fail, it's wow, I was actually really excited to go to the gym this week.
Yeah.
Something I've not been in months. I had a really good workout. I was in a better mood during my workout. That's probably the biggest benefit that I see is just allowing yourself a little bit of a break. I tend to take 1 full week off about every 3 to 4 months. I'll give my body just 1 week of, I'm not getting glued to the couch, right? But I'm just not going into the gym. And it might just be, hey, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to do some stretching. I'm going to go for a jog. Maybe that's what I'm doing, but I'm not doing the actual resistance training for a week. And without fail, it's the same thing for me. I go from like kind of ho hum on my workouts to heck yeah, I get to work out this week. I get to get back into the gym. I get to go see my buddy Marty at the gym. He's got a Jeep too. He's got a long beard. And I'm like, dude, what's up? Missed you.
Yeah. 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 And I think, yeah, the biggest, and for like those who are listening and maybe haven't had the longevity of training, like maybe like of us, I mean, you're talking or listening to two people that love to train and we have been doing it for 15 years and we get a little bored and we get a little burnt out and we need to have a break. So it's not like there's something wrong with you if you feel like you need a week off. And I think, you obviously you need to be pretty honest with yourself. Like if you're taking a week off every 4 weeks, okay, then there's maybe a little bit of an issue there. But like if you are just compounding that consistency, like it's just gonna happen. Like it's like with someone who's just gone through a prep. Like usually those first 2 weeks when they're training, I go train whatever you want. I want you to just kind of have fun again because you know what? You've been spending a shit time in the gym most likely. You probably have started to hate it a little bit. We want to kind of rejuvenate some of that fun. And so, that can be, such a big part because it is a mental battle year after year after year of having that consistency. And certainly every time you get bored, you can't just stop going to the gym. Like there are going to be those times where I think you just kind of need to fight through it and just get it done. And that's kind of where, coming back of just being truthful with yourself of like, okay, what is this actually? But yeah, don't underestimate just those mental benefits of just not being in the gym for a week like that. Like you get that mental break. And I think just kind of then coming back to being afraid of losing whatever it might be. Like I think if I remember correctly, the research shows like it takes a full 8 weeks of not training and then not even having your nutrition in place and barely moving for you to start losing muscle mass, right? So that's a significant amount of time. You might notice a little loss in strength, like kind of pure strength, but typically that's just a little loss of the skill, right? Where it's like, okay, we lost maybe some skill wise, but that's going to come back pretty quick. Like you're going to be fine. And I mean, muscle memory is a thing too. Like you'll see it even if you've trained a lot, you take a year off, that kind of comes back fairly quickly because of that muscle memory. And so even if you feel like you have lost a little bit, it's really nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Right. Like in terms of taking a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks off, like most of that perceived strength loss is just a neurological adaptation. So just like the newbie gains early on, like you didn't really build all that muscle in 3 months. You have the same amount of muscle realistically that you had 3 months ago, but what happened is your body got used to the movement pattern. Your body started to understand what different loads and capacities felt like in the plane that you're moving, in the space that you're moving. And what happens is your body goes, "Oh, I don't have to hold back. I can actually put full strength into this. I can do this. Okay, I can just get this done." So the neurological adaptation is just going to be a short term one. If you did take longer than like, let's say 2 weeks off and you come back to the gym, like I will always tell someone, listen to your body. If we've been off for like 2 to 4 weeks,
Yeah, do
listen
an
to your
intro.
body, maybe just lower the weight like 10 to 20%, depending on the lift and how heavy someone's going. Like someone who's a very experienced lifter and they're doing heavy compounds, like let's say somebody's, I don't know, leg pressing 600 plus pounds. Yeah, let's take like 100 pounds off as
Yeah,
like your top working sets. Let's
yeah,
take 100 pounds off. That's pretty conservative. Listen to your body. And if you're like, oh, I feel like I can go back to 600, then cool. Trust your instinct. Listen to your body. But if you're like, whoa, 500 pounds feels like it's 700 pounds, okay, well, don't be afraid to dial back a little bit more. I know there's the more recent article came out about like, oh, tempo doesn't do anything. I respectfully disagree from a practical standpoint. I think that tempo can make you more aware of your form, and better form is never a bad thing. It's also more challenging. Like, hey, hold this. If I'm doing a bench press and it's like, okay, pause at the bottom for 3 seconds instead of just touch your chest and go. Well, yeah, doing that pause is more time that my muscle is under tension. It is more time that I'm doing this. So, like, maybe we're just changing up tempo the first week that you're back. But without fail, in the couple of weeks, you're going to find that your strength returns. Now, to touch on a point you brought up of, it takes like 8 weeks to actually start to lose muscle mass. And you have to also have your nutrition just absolute garbage. Like your protein intake needs to be terrible. Your calories need to be super low. You also have to have very, very low NEAT, non exercise activity thermogenesis. You have to have very, very little NEAT expenditure. You almost have to be in outer space on a space shuttle to start to lose muscle mass. Like it's it's pretty extreme, right? And everybody thinks they're the exception to the rule, but anyone who's thinking that, you're not a special flower whenever it comes to biology.
or yeah.
The other thing is when you do eventually come back to it after a longer period away, when you do eventually come back to it, like Tyler said, we're just going to call it muscle memory, but the scientific side is your muscles have satellite cells. And whenever those satellite cells reactivate, the muscle grows back quicker and faster than what it did before. That's why anyone who's ever, like, let's say someone was a high school athlete and maybe they played, they worked out consistently through college. So, like, you started working out at 15, you were consistent in the gym through college. Okay, 24, 25, you got a big boy job and schedule got busy, you got married, had kids. Now you're 35 and you go, it's been 10 years since I worked out. It's going to take me forever to get back to what I did. Well, no, because you worked out for 10 years consistently. Yeah, you took 10 years off, but those satellite cells are now going to go from dormant to active, and it's not going to take you the same 10 years of 15 to 25. It's not going to take you the same journey to get back to that level of musculature. You're going to be there a lot quicker. Like in a year of training, you're going to go, dang, I think my arms are as big as they've ever been. I think my chest is bigger than it's ever been. Like, if anything, you now have man strength to go with that muscle.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. Yeah. I mean, you're kind of hitting that prime, really, kind of that 25 to 35, right? Like that's where you're really gonna make a lot of that kind of progress.
Crap, I'm
Just to
36.
yeah, I know. I'm washed up. I'm gonna be 37 in February. I'm washed up. No, and I mean too, like, just even then, like coming from other than just like maybe that mental side, but like I kind of mentioned it earlier, is the general adaptation syndrome, and we can maybe talk a little bit about like deload weeks too, and the benefit there, but to kind of bring back the slingshot analogy too, where we're training, our volume, whatever, like we're coming up, right? And there's going to be adaptation, right? Your body's adapting. And well, eventually it's going to reach a point where those two lines are somewhat similar and adaptation slows down, it stops, etc. And where we have that week off or maybe even a deload week, your recovery kind of increases, adaptation drops a little bit, and then you're going to be able to come back and have a slingshot effect those first few weeks because now you can push the body a little bit more. You're raising that level of adaptation of where that body needs to go. So from just even a pure biological physiological standpoint, having something that allows you to fully recover and have a little bit of time off, it's going to allow you just to get more out of your training over the long haul as well.
Yeah. So people that are afraid to take time off for one reason or another, whether it's medical, hey, take a week off, take 2 weeks off, you gone through a surgery, or even if it's a bigger surgery, like you really shouldn't be afraid of it as long as you trust yourself that you're going to get back to it and you're going to be consistent. And if you're worried about, am I going to get back to it consistently, then this would be where I would again, surprise, recommend the book Atomic Habits. Like your actions and your history, it's a vote for your identity. And if you're somebody that you go, okay, I've been working out consistently for 6 months, a year, whatever. Well, your track record for the last 6 months to a year is that you are a gym rat. Whether you want to identify yourself as that or not, like you're a gym rat now. Congrats. Welcome to the club. We're
Yeah.
forever
Well,
small.
yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
But taking 1 week off, if somebody works out for 26 weeks and they take 1 week off and then they work out for another 26 weeks, like, so you take a week off every 6 months, 1 week in the span of, you know, 1 year, not a big deal. And even back that up. Look, I take, so if I'm taking a 1 week break every 3 to 4 months, I take 3 to 4 weeks off just from that. That's not counting, hey, whenever I'm on vacation, I'm taking a week off. That's not counting. At some point, I'm usually good for like 1 or 2 good, like flus or sickness, like where I get down
Yeah.
with the sickness. Like if you were to meet a stranger and they said, "Yeah, I work out 40 weeks out of the year." That's probably a pretty healthy person. That's probably a pretty active person who's strong, probably kind of nimble, like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's respectable.
Yeah.
So 1 week in a 3 or 4 month or 6 month period, why are we afraid of that?
You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. And unlike, I have ran into like instances where, someone will be like, well, like from a mental perspective, this does keep me sane. Right. And I think, there are scenarios where maybe to keep someone in a good place mentally, like maybe we can't take a full week off, but then I think then that's where, hey, like let's just dial it back a little bit then for a week or two. Like we can still get you in the gym, come back to, hey, go wait, then for the next week or two, train how you feel. Walk in and I want to do arms. All right, go dude, hit arms. Like, that's, I think there are certain ways of being flexible and adjusting with this. Like, I don't want to say like we're going to force you to take a week off. Like the decision is always up to the client. Like we're here just to give the best recommendations based off of literature and that person's individual personality and that context. And I have ran into that before, but so then that's where, all right, instead of 3 sets, I just want you to do 2 sets. Or again, do what you feel like this week. Or let's just train 3 times this week instead of maybe our normal 5, right? Like there's going to be certain ways around it. And I think ways that you can manipulate it where, if that week off just for whatever reason can't happen, I still believe it's very important to kind of find ways around that and still kind of get some of those benefits that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of at least doing a deload week, like every 10 to 16 weeks, just depends on the individual, right? Like, look, if you've hit PRs on your main compounds for the last like 3 4 sessions, and all your biofeedback is my energy's good, my sleep is good, my stress man is low. Look, I'm not about to go taking the wind out of your sails if you're like, I'm feeling really great going to the gym. But as soon as we start to hit some plateaus from a strength wise, from a recovery perspective, like let's ideally take a week off. let's get full rest. Let's let your muscles, your joints, let's just allow you to rest. If someone is like, well, hey, I really don't want to take that time off because as coaches, we should also know what's going on in people's lives. So I know I've been in that dark spot, like in my younger single days where the gym was my happy spot. Like during a really rough, really dark period of my life, the gym was it. And I was there 6 days a week, if not seven. And it was to the point at one the Anytime Fitness that I went to, I would just show up because like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm here. Like, let me just spot some of my gym bros,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are you
Yeah,
training
you
today?
start paying me.
We don't scap, Tyler. We don't
Yeah,
scap. But like I've been there, and it's like, look, I'm not trying to take anybody out of what might be the bright place for them if they're going through something like that. So for those instances, like you said, a deload week at least, where hey, let's maybe only train 2 or 3 days this week. We're just gonna do like one, we're gonna do 3 sets per body part. We're literally give me your favorite exercise to do for chest, for back, for shoulders, for biceps, triceps, glutes, hammies, quads. If you train calves, I mean, a lot of people kind of like me, like there's no point. I've bombed them for years.
no, I don't have
So
those the genetics.
yeah, like look, let's just literally do things you like. We're gonna do 3 total sets for a body part for 1 week. Let's split it into 2 workouts, maybe three, and just you're in, you're out. Yeah, want to do a little extra time? Walk on a treadmill.
Yeah,
Do a Zumba class. I don't know if they still do Zumba classes. Like, you know,
I'm sure.
whoop,
Not that I don't know, but I'm sure they do.
the we had an instructor at the Anytime Fitness that legitimately and as a trainer, I'm like, good for her. She's keeping her people engaged. But it would seriously be like every 30 seconds, woo, coming from that room, like the whole gym could hear. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
there's a part of me that wants to join because it sounds just absolutely fun. But on the other hand, like, yo, I'm about to hit a heavy set, and like as I'm about to unrack, it's like, woo, okay, give me like 30 seconds here. Give me some more.
yeah. And I think just to even touch on like one other thing, like from even just like a nutrition standpoint, I think a lot of people too will be like, even on rest days. I remember I mean, I'm sure you used to do it too, where you eat less food on rest days, which is silly now. But like they'll want to change their nutrition, like taking a week off, right? Like I'm like, well, I don't think I should be eating as much because I'm not burning as much. And like to me, it should be the opposite. Like we should continue to eat as much as we are consuming. That's gonna help with your recovery. It's gonna continue to just saturate in the muscle. Like just because you're not training for a week doesn't mean that we're just gonna gain a bunch of body fat. Like that's not gonna happen. Like from a biological perspective, you would have to go on quite the binge for that to occur. And so don't be afraid either to continue to eat up to your food intake because that's going to help overall with your continual recovery for that week. So that can be also something like fairly scary for a lot of people where maybe it's like, oh, I don't feel like I'm earning the food. And I mean that's a whole nother rabbit hole we don't need to go down, but like it should just continue as is. Nothing changes really, other than maybe you're just not trained for the week. But like having that food intake is going to have such a huge benefit, and it's going to help you when you come back. You are going to be feeling so damn good, and your energy is going to be in such a good place.
Yeah. I definitely used to I tried at the time, right? My mindset was, okay, well, I'm being a good client, doing what my coach is asking me to do the rest day, like lower the calories down, particularly carbs. And I remember the one time that I voiced it to my coach of like, hey, on these rest days, I'm like my energy is terrible. I'm hungry. Because also I remember my carbs literally got cut in half. And like I'm not somebody with like a super, super strong metabolism to begin with. That's just not in my genetics. So like going from 2,300 calories down to I think it was like 1,800. Like, I remember my carbs going from, like, 250 down to, like, 130 or something.
Right, you're gonna feel like shit the next day,
Yeah,
especially if you're like, your training sessions is gonna be horrible.
yeah, because that at the time, it was lift Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday was a rest day, lift Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Well, that Wednesday rest day, like, I'm going back in on Thursday and I'm doing a hypertrophy workout. Like, I'm doing chest and back, I'm doing antagonizing muscles. Like, my energy was just awful. So I'd have to eat like my entire carbs for the day before that workout. Well, now, okay, I'm training at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the time. By the time I got done with it 2 hours later, well, I got no carbs remaining. Ain't got no gas in it.
Well, I mean, even, like, depending on, like, the context of a client, I will sometimes plan in a non-dieting phase a refeed day before a leg day, especially also if it's even if it's a rest day, I'll give them, like, a refeed where it's like, "Hey, like, let's have a whatever, 75 extra grams of carbs and 20 grams of fat before your next leg day because it's gonna take 24, 48 hours anyways for those to assimilate into muscle glycogen." And so, like, you gotta think about, like, the previous day, like, you're not fueling the day of for the workout. I mean, we can quibble, but it's really that previous day that is your fuel for those next day's workouts. And so you almost need to start thinking about it in that sense of like, I had great energy in this workout. What did I do the day before? What did I do 2 days before? What did that look like? Was my nutrition in a good spot? My water, all of that? Like, because that's where you're then starting to see those benefits. It's not necessarily the day of.
Yeah. So that's putting it perfectly, man. You don't wait until you're on the road trip to gas the car up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is the biggest thing that I want people to understand whenever it comes to the week off is like, look, you're taking a week off from the gym, right? It's one area of your fitness goals is your resistance training. You're still going to keep your nutrition locked in. We're still trying to get good sleep. We're still trying to practice stress management. We're still trying to drink our water. We're still trying to take any supplements that we're taking. Big supplements guy, but like, hey, we're still taking our creatine. We're still taking, a multivitamin, whatever you're on. You're just missing the gym. And I think that people have such a tie in mentally with their training and whether or not they're staying on point with their nutrition. Like one typically comes with the other. I think that that is the thing people are unaware of why are you so nervous about taking a week off? I think it's really coming back to fear of, well, if I take a week off from the gym, am I gonna, go to happy hours after work? Am I gonna maybe drink a little extra? Am I maybe gonna, you know, go on an extra date? And now instead of just a normal date night dinner, I'm getting appetizers and getting a couple of drinks and getting dessert. It's like pump the
Yeah.
brake. All we're doing is just saying one of these things we're not doing this week.
Yeah.
That's it. Take your take your time off. Like, people, we have such a grind and hustle culture, and I think especially like, we're millennials. We were kind of raised with that, like, you gotta work hard and you
Never
gotta grind and you gotta always be busy, 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 and no, that is
always
not
feel
the
like
case.
we were or are, right? Like, yeah, it's a big part of it. And it's, I mean, time apart makes the heart grow fonder, right? Like,
Exactly. Look, just like you should take time off from work, like, nobody should be like, "Yeah, I've worked without a day off for the last 8 months."
yeah, it's not the flex you think it is.
Like, no, that's terrible. Take time off. You're going to feel better, whether it's work, whether it's working out. Look, take time off, but have a return date. Like, nobody's just like, well, I'm going on vacation and I'll be back whenever I'm back. It's like, okay, no, you're taking vacation for a week. You're coming back to work the following Monday and your shit's going to get done. It's the exact same thing with taking time off from the gym, or if you're taking a week of just not tracking your food. Like, it's not that you're retiring from doing this. You're not just like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
at least you shouldn't be, but you're going have a hard date of, okay, I am back on this date.
Yeah. I said that perfectly.
Now, I think this is going to be a fun one.
Okay.
All right. We're on a
I'm ready.
all right, we're on a blind rank,
Okay.
video game consoles.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, a little curveball.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. So blind rank, we got 5. First one up is the Nintendo Switch.
I'm gonna go 4. Like, because I mean, that's a more of a new one. Played it a little bit. It got us through COVID pretty well. We would do a lot of Mario Kart with our friends. Like, we'd set up like a big FaceTime with them, and we'd all play like get online, have a couple drinks, and do Mario Kart. So, definitely fun, but probably not in my wheelhouse. So I'm gonna go with 4.
Yeah, so we have a Nintendo Switch. I really like it. It's great for the kids too. I love playing Mario Kart. I also like playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee because it's a complete remake almost of Red, Blue,
Awesome.
Yellow.
Yep.
Really, really fun. And we've also got we've got a Super Mario game on there. We've got a Smash Brothers, and it's really, really good. I do enjoy it, but I'm gonna just thinking about video game consoles. I'm I'm gonna put it in my 5. Well, even if you gave me like the full list, I'd probably still say it's a top 5 console
Yeah,
for
for sure.
me. Just I'm also thinking like, man, there's some potential big heavy hitters out
Yes,
there.
yes, there is. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay,
I'm
so
saving space.
yeah, like I'm my strategy is I'm saving number 1 for the Nintendo 64 if it's on here. That's my whole strategy. So I'm gonna respectfully put Switch at 5. All right. Next one, PlayStation 2,
See, I didn't get a PS until the PS what's right now? There's 5?
5.
Yeah, I think my first one was a PS3. So I didn't really I grew up more like Nintendo, so it's hard for I'm just gonna go 5 for that whole because I never actually really played the PS2. So I
Okay,
gotta go 5 with it.
and that's fair. Like for me, I think PlayStation 2 and that was middle school, that was high school. Like
Yeah,
I remember the craze. It was my senior year when the PlayStation 3 came out. So like the
yeah,
PS2, we're talking Tony Hawk Underground, we're talking years of playing Madden and NHL. Like I was playing it whenever they still had NFL Blitz and NHL Hits.
yep,
Remember
yep.
Hits?
Oh, yeah, 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 yep,
Yeah. So like I've got a lot of good memories on there. Gran Turismo, Need for Speed. I'm gonna put PlayStation 2 at my number 3.
yep, that
So
makes sense.
all right. Next up is Xbox 360.
I'm gonna go 3 because I was more of like Nintendo and Xbox. I had like the original Xbox. I don't know if I think I had the Xbox 360 for a little bit, so I'm gonna go with the 3. Played that. I think that was around. It was kind of PS2 era, right? Like, that
Yeah,
was
I
around there.
yeah, so they did the original Xbox
Yep, the big
and
black.
PlayStation 2 like around the same time.
Right.
And then Microsoft released, I mean, if I'm wrong, someone's gonna tell me, but I believe they released the Xbox 360 like 6 months before the PlayStation 3.
Gotcha.
They were, like, right there
Yeah,
with each other.
yeah.
I remember I bought the Xbox 360
Yeah. Well,
and
Call of Duty.
yeah, oh, yeah.
And
Well, my problem with the Xbox 360 was I was in that early wave of the Red Ring of Death.
yeah, I think that did happened to us at one point too. It wasn't early on, but it did happen.
Like, it happened, I was just barely within because I bought the warranty from Best Buy. So, like, I had my warranty, I was barely within it, got it replaced, and then after the warranty expired, I got the Red Ring of Death again.
Ah,
So, I'm gonna put it at my 4, but if I could switch it with the Switch, I would. Like,
yeah, just because of that. Yeah,
just because of that Red Ring of Death. Alright. So, I've got 1 and 2 remaining.
yeah, me too.
Alright, so I'm gambling here. And there it is, Nintendo 64, that's my number 1.
Yeah, because I think, I mean, for me, like it is a toss up between like the Super Nintendo and the N64. ones, like, because, like, there's just a lot of nostalgia between those 2, because like,
Yeah.
that's kind of like, 5 to 10, 12 years old, and like, Donkey Kong, Super Mario, all of those, like, James Bond ones, like NFL Blitz for 64, all of the kind of the nostalgia of it. I mean, I still have my original N64, right?
Same.
Like, it's in my house, and I don't it might still work. I've broken it out a couple of times. So I am gonna go with number one. I remember getting it on Christmas in like whatever, 94, 95 when it came out. Like, so yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. That's number one, because that's kind of the bulk of the video game time in my life.
Yeah, like, so I pretty much stopped playing video games, like, right after high school. Like, I remember I bought my PlayStation 3, and within, like, 6 months, it had just a massive layer of dust on it. So for me, it was I loved my Nintendo 64, I loved my Super Nintendo, and then I was on the way so I remember it was, like, 6th or 7th grade, that year's Christmas was like, "The PlayStation 2 is coming out, Microsoft is releasing the Xbox, and Nintendo's releasing the GameCube," and up to that point, I was such a Nintendo kid. I was like, "GameCube, if the 64 was this great and it was better than the Super Nintendo, the GameCube's gonna be amazing."
Hey, I loved the GameCube. I thought it was pretty awesome.
I did too. The problem with the GameCube, in my opinion, was that they didn't have the more teen to young adult centric titles like what PlayStation and Xbox did. I think that Nintendo tried to just captivate, like, hey, young audiences,
Nintendo.
families, and nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. Man, the Nintendo 64, so many hours on GoldenEye, so many hours like Wave Race 64. That was like the game I got with it. WWF No Mercy, WCW Revenge, like all the WWF, WCW games. I love those. Rock loved that. Gosh, Donkey Kong, Super Smash Brothers though was like,
Because that was the first iteration of Super Smash Bros, right? So, like, that was an
yeah.
awesome a lot of hours grinding.
And then
Yeah,
the other thing,
couldn't set things to easy, medium, or hard. It was just one difficulty, and you had to grind it out.
yeah, the other thing for me why I think I loved the Nintendo 64 so much was like I was a diehard Pokemon kid.
Yeah,
And
same.
like not only could you get Pokemon Stadium 2, and you had Snap, which was kind of fun, but you could put the Game Boy adapter on and you could play your Game Boy games on the
Yes,
Nintendo
that's right.
64.
Yeah,
And I know they had that originally on the Super Nintendo, but the 64 version was just awesome.
legend.
Number one, and then we're defaulting to the same number two as well, and that is the PlayStation 5.
I don't have that. I'm
I
sure
have
it's great.
it.
I can't
I have
afford
it.
I can't these are too expensive now. I don't play enough video games. Although,
So,
I am hoping to have it once GTA 6 comes out, whenever that might be. They keep pushing back the release date, so
mhm.
that'll maybe save up a little bit more.
Nikki got it for me for my birthday a couple of years ago. And at first I was kind of like, okay, this will be cool. I haven't played a Madden game in 10, 15 years probably. Like I think Madden 2010 was the last one that I
Yeah,
played.
so it's been a while.
Been a minute. And then as soon as I fire it up, it's like, oh, you check out all the classics. So it was like all the PlayStation 2 stuff that I played. It was like, here's
It's
Tony
awesome.
Hawk. Like all the graphics are smoother and better,
Yeah.
and the game engines are better. Spyro, like me and Nikki spent like 6 straight months where I was like, all right, kids go to bed. Let's play Spyro. Like it was so cool. It was such a trip down memory lane. I mean, I'm okay with it being number two, but I would probably move it a little bit, like, maybe if I had to re-ramp this, I would probably say I like my Switch a little bit better than my PlayStation 5,
Okay. Yeah.
but that's also, again, my PlayStation 5, I can play Pokémons on it, so
Yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah.
if we're learning anything from this podcast today, Phil loves Pokemon,
Yes. Who doesn't? Who doesn't growing up in that era? I
too.
remember I remember going to Blockbuster, renting a Game Boy, and renting, like, Pokemon Red. and like trying to get as far as you can in like the week or two that you have it. Like,
Yep.
yeah,
I remember, oh, the Sears at our mall had like a little corner where it was like, okay, there's a Game Boy and it's on like a stand and it's attached and you can't switch out the game. It's whatever they're putting on. And they had a Nintendo 64. And that was like it. You couldn't ask for like change out a sample. It's just what they have is what they have. And I remember for like 6 months, they had that. They had Pokemon Red, and I would get there every time. It's like, new file, I'm gonna do this while my mom's shopping and blah blah blah. It's like I'd barely make it out of Viridian Forest and my mom would be done.
yeah,
I'm like,
dang
God,
it, yeah,
I'm gonna beat Brock today.
yeah.
Can we go to the
Yeah,
mall tomorrow?
yeah, that Onyx, you always had to like get a Butterfree so you could try and beat his Onyx, right? Like that was always my go-to. Or a
So
Mankey. Get a Mankey, you go to the left towards the forest, and you get a Mankey and level
yep.
that up with low
So
kick.
what I learned a couple years ago was on red and blue, where you could pick between Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Charmander. Which Pokemon you picked was setting the game on either easy, medium, or
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, because
Because
Charizard
like,
was this.
yep,
Or
because
not Charmander, yeah.
yeah, because Charmander wouldn't have an advantage until the fourth gym. So like, all right, he's not strong against the first one, he's weak against the second one, he's neutral against the third, he's strong against the fourth, and that was kind of it. Squirtle, it's like, okay, you're strong against the first one, you're neutral against the second one, you're weak against number three, number four, and five, and then you're like neutral and strong, and then neutral. Bulbasaur, it's like strong, 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 neutral, neutral. Like you're only weak against Blaine the Fire Gym. So
Yeah.
maybe we should turn this into a Pokemon
Yeah,
podcast.
I was gonna say maybe we should.
All right.
We're
Well,
gonna go to Twitch and we're just gonna stream us playing Pokemon.
don't threaten me with a good time. I got the kids into the cards a couple of months ago. That was a mistake.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I still have all of my cards from like back in the day,
Oh,
and I had some. We can wrap this up, but I had like a fantasy hockey draft, and some of the guys were looking through it, and they're like, "You probably have like thousands of dollars worth of like cards in here, like in terms of like how their value now is." I was like, "Yeah, I don't really want to get rid of them."
nah,
Yeah,
I'll keep my holographic Charizards.
exactly, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for listening. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe. It helps us to grow. And until next time, stay
See ya.
sexy.